there's something else. There's something else that I want to know. Why is Keir Starmer going on about?
What happens on the front line of Donetsk today is shaping our collective future for years to come now, and for the negotiations to begin from the current line of contact. President Trump is right to impose sanctions on Russia's oil majors.
You know, I just tell you what he's talking about. He's talking about the Ukraine and Russia war. Why is he going on about the Ukraine and Russia war when our country is just falling apart? I don't know what is going on in the English government. There seems to be this big talk between Russia and China and people giving a shit about what's going on the other side of the world when our own country is being invaded by a huge amount of Islamic people over here. And it's like I realized that in that last video I made, I was kind of insulting, you know, the people in Birmingham, but I feel like it's because of a huge Islamic number of people in the country that I don't know who is who, and I'm thinking about, you know, just people that are causing problems in England, and it's hard to, you can't tell who's who but just by looking at people, and therefore I feel like the knowledge of all these bad people or worshipping silly things or worshipping, you know, this the jihad and Sharia law, and just knowing that these people are just walking amongst us, and we can't we can't tell who's who unless we actually get their answer. You know, this is just making the whole place fall apart, and I don't know why the UK is bothering to have discussions about, unless it's all just a facade. They're going on about it. You know, GB News was supposed to have not backed Shabib Hababi or whatever it is, that guy, the politician that from Pakistan. They're apparently not supporting him. I don't really know why, because I thought this was very anti-Islamic, but maybe it's because that guy is becoming off as being very much like, he's trying to promote that we can have peace through laws and just less immigration and stuff. But yeah, I think we need to stop building houses, because when this population reduction happens, there's going to be so many empty houses. The houses are going to be worth, some houses might be worth nothing. A lot of people probably from the north will come down to the south, so I think houses in the south are more likely to retain some sort of value. But England is falling apart. There seems to be, Trump is declaring war on the drug cartels, and England seems to be almost declaring or trying to fix some sort of war that's going on in Ukraine, when it's just like, hello, have you not noticed what's going on in Europe? I mean, I'm wondering if they're using the word Russia and China as a way of actually warning people that there is a war, but it's actually against Islam and migrants that are not thinking right. You know, there's a lot of people who do not think right. You know, raping a 10-year-old is perfectly fine in their culture, because that's what their culture teaches. And we've been inviting a huge amount of people from Afghanistan and Pakistan and Africa as well, and it's not a race problem, because Islamic people can be both white and black, and you can't tell if someone is Islamic or if they favour Islam. But I want to know, I really want to know who in England favours Islam, who in England does not see a problem with it, because they are the problem, and there are plenty of liberals who also, you know, support Palestine without realising that by supporting Palestine you are actually becoming a Nazi, because Palestine want to get rid of the Jews so that they can, you know, they see the Jews as being people who have invaded their land and who are occupiers, and by support, you know, a lot of them don't just want Gaza to become a land, they want the whole of Israel to go back to being Islamic. And so, you know, there is definitely a war, and I think you have to. I want to know who's on the side of the Muslims and who's on the side of the non-Muslims, and it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or not. You know, I think that's one of the problems why I'm seeing everyone in Birmingham as being so much worse, because even if you're not a Muslim, even if you're not Islamic, by supporting Islam, by showing that you want to support, you know, Palestine, even though Palestine probably want the whole of Israel, you know, they want from the river to the sea and stuff, you know, by supporting Palestine, you don't realize that you're actually supporting war against Jews, and they can be hating Nazis whilst not realizing that actually they are becoming a Nazi because they're supporting people who want to get rid of the Jews and kill the Jews. And I don't know what's going on with, is this war against the drug cartels? Is this Trump subtly hinting that there's a war coming, which is not against the drug cartels, but rather it's against Islam. Islam is the problem. Islam is the invader. Islam needs to be taken out, and um, and I think they don't want. I think that the politics and the news is all trying to just defer it and say, oh, it's about Ukraine and Russia, when really it's not. This has got nothing to do with Ukraine and Russia. This has got nothing to do with Gaza. This has got something to do with Islam, and you need to have some sort of national debate to find who is on the side of the Jews and who is on the side of Palestine, and then you'll have an answer of who's who. Then you'll have an answer of who is on whose side, and it's I'm against Islam, but I can't tell who's for it and who's against it, and I can't tell who's not Islamic but who still would rather favour the Islamic people, because that's just making me feel like everyone's against me.